Hi, my name is Talia Swartz, and I'm going to talk to you about MD-PhD applications in the time of COVID. And this is put together through the Communications Committee of the MD-PhD section of the Group of Research, Education, and Training through the AAMC. I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Jose Cavazos, who contributed a lot of the content here to give you information on what considerations you take into account as an applicant to MD-PhD programs this cycle. To start off, we all acknowledge that the COVID-19 pandemic has created monumental challenges in the world around us. And what that means is that it has challenged our lives in profound ways, and the ways that we're impacted by it vary widely. And for that reason, it's very important that those of you who are in the process of applying to graduate programs right now will have needed to make significant accommodations in what your planned course was. And we want you to know from the perspective of the program directors that we acknowledge that that is happening and want to give you some sense of how to navigate that process. So what does this mean for you as an applicant in the 2020-2022 MD-PhD admission cycle? To start off, I'd like to describe what the elements of a successful MD-PhD application are. It's very important to note that holistic review is taking place. And that means that who you are as a whole person, where you come from, your background, and what you bring is very important in assessing the entirety of your application. There is no one piece that contributes more than anything else. And for that reason, it will be important as you showcase yourself in your applications and on your interviews to be able to demonstrate all of the different aspects that you bring to the table. That includes being able to show integrity and maturity. That means being creative, having aptitude for big questions in biomedical research, demonstrating resilience, and being a collaborator. Productive research experiences. This is really important, and we'll talk a little bit about this in the next slide. Your MD-PhD essay, why MD-PhD? You should have a compelling story that is driving why it is that you feel that you need both of these degrees in order to accomplish your career goals. And career goals would be in line with being a physician and a scientist and being able to necessarily marry those two in your planned career. Letters of recommendation from your research mentors are important to be able to attest to the quality and the depth of the work that you've done in the laboratory. Academic record, GPA, and MCAT, these are part of it. They definitely are not the entirety of the application, but are going to be necessary just in order to indicate that you are going to be able to keep up with the academic rigors of a dual degree program. Experience in caring for others is important because you need to have seen what medicine is and know that you deeply are interested in pursuing that for your career. That can be in multiple different ways through either service engagements, shadowing, participation in hospital or healthcare volunteering settings. And all of those, it's important to be able to have a sense of what it has taught you. Extracurricular activities are important just in terms of our understanding of you and the sort of fullness of you as a person, and your life experience is what you bring, how you bring a different perspective than others, and why building a community is important in bringing together people that have different backgrounds, different life experiences, different lenses. And then all of this will come together in the interviews, how you interact with the interviewers, whether you're able to appear engaged, whether you're able to ask and answer questions related to all of those above bullets. So what constitutes substantive research experience? It is enough experience to understand what you're getting into. This is a long program, so you definitely want to have had sustained research experience in multiple different opportunities that we'll describe, that will tell you that this is something that you really want to commit to for a long time, not only during the training, but beyond. So that can be multiple things. It can be multiple summer projects. It can be undergraduate research, either in the form of a senior research thesis or other, depending on what's available at your institution. And then it can also be 1 or more years pursuing research after undergraduate degree or post-bac. It's really important to note that you do not have to take a gap year. There is no requirement, and many are told that they need to do this. But if you feel that you've had substantive research experience from your undergraduate training, you don't need to take more time to do that. And ultimately, the goal of all of this is to become familiar with testing hypotheses. You want to be able to have a question, be able to come up with some methods in order to test that question and then come up with an answer, whether it supports your hypothesis or not, and to be able to speak about that in your applications, in your essay, and in your interviews. So going back to the elements of a successful MD-PhD application, how has COVID changed this? The COVID has definitely not changed who you are in terms of your integrity and your maturity. In fact, it's possible that you may have had experiences that may have enriched your ability to demonstrate that. Productive research experiences may have shifted. You may have not been able to spend as much time in person as you might have wanted. You may have shifted to a computational project. Your planned activities may have been canceled or limited. It is important that you describe that on the application, and to be able to explain how you pivoted during that time where you weren't able to do what you thought you would do. What did you do instead? And what did you learn from it? The MD-PhD essay remains the same. Your career motivations, letters of recommendation will likely be the same. However, it's possible that you may have shorter experiences than you otherwise thought, and your letters may reflect that, and that's okay, as long as they acknowledge that you had planned to spend time in the laboratory, but then that didn't happen. Academic record may be different because it's possible that some courses may have become pass-fail, and you're able to explain that on your written application. Experience in caring for others, also important, but it may have been in different ways. You may have been involved in more virtual experiences. You may not have been able to do all of the things that you wanted to do in person. That's okay, but the idea is that you want to be able to demonstrate that you've still done activities that have helped to inform your desire to be a physician. Again, same for extracurricular activities and life experiences. Maybe things were shortened, but you'll have the opportunity to explain that. And again, who are you as a person and how does that come through? And then finally, in the interviews, you'll have the opportunity to explain this as well, but all of it should be described within the context of your overall goals and how what you've done and maybe how you might have been challenged is enriching those goals moving forward. The good news: a strong MD-PhD application is not built overnight. So this is important because you have likely been working on this for a long time. And even though this year may have caused big changes in your academic plan, it is still going to be who you are and what you've been building over a long time that will be important. MD-PhD programs are working together to be flexible. We have all together as a community been conversations throughout the pandemic, developing ways to accommodate applicant needs. And in fact, the virtual interview cycle was really enlightening for many in terms of how we can be more accessible to students. MD-PhD application review is holistic. So in general, committees are looking for overall potential as a physician scientist, and this is really important. It's that potential. So what are the pieces, what are the clues in your application that you'll be able to put forward that demonstrate your career success and potential as a physician scientist based on the inspirations and experiences that you've had leading up to this point? And so as we return to this, the idea is that these are still the core features that reviewers are going to be looking at. And these are the core things that you're going to want to emphasize in your application. And even if you feel that you haven't been able to do everything that you originally thought you might, you'll still be able to talk about these themes and describe what your journey has been in this pursuit. Some tips for MD-PhD applicants on virtual interviews: definitely important to find a location with strong Wi-Fi. So Zoom interviews can use lots of bandwidth, and so having a comfortable location where you have consistent Wi-Fi for long periods of time is important. If that is going to be a problem for any reason, it's really important that you reach out to the program administrator or contact person to figure out an accommodation. It may be that there is some place that you can interview from, or your institution may have some assistance, but that is really important to identify upfront. Test out the equipment in advance. So have a device with reliable software and test out the interview equipment first. Close all other applications so that you can optimize the performance and especially the video. Dress professionally. What does that mean? It's complicated, but you should basically appear in a way that you might want to be in person as well. Whatever you might wear to a regular interview, it's probably a good idea to wear the same thing. That means different things for different people. Try to avoid busy patterns that can be distracting on the camera. Use strong lighting so that you can be seen and that you can see well. Avoid bright lights behind you as they can create dark shadows. And then finally, be passionate about a career as a physician scientist, because no matter what the circumstances of the interview are, if they're virtual or not, and it sounds like many programs are going to be having virtual interviews this cycle, the goal will be for you to convey your passion and potential as a physician scientist. So this will include talking about your prior experience as a scientist, your capacity for empathy with the human condition, and your ability to effectively communicate these ideas. And overall, if you're excited about this, that will come through, whether it's in person or in a virtual format. And that will be the single most important idea to convey through your interviews. Now, a bit about the timeline. For those candidates who are matriculating in the summer of 2022, in the winter, spring of the previous cycle, you were preparing an application that was highlighting all of those features that we described. You'll apply in the summer of 2021 and then interview during fall of 2021, possibly winter of 2021, and then acceptances will be sent out in the winter 2021 through the spring, and then a start date of summer 2022. It's important to note that this can be a 1.5-year process or longer, and so it's a lot, and you have likely been working on this for a long time. Definitely get input from others about your application and how you think that you should be writing and describing things in your application and on your interviews. What should you look for in an MD-PhD program? This is a long time. These are long programs, so you really want to pay attention to the environment, the research and academic environment. Is it a place that is committed to helping you thrive? Look for the students, the program activities, professional development, and community involvement. You want to see that students are happy, enjoying what they're doing, and that there's a variety of activities that are aligned with things that you are passionate about. Look for alumni achievements. What do students do after they graduate? Think about the location. You'll be living there for a long time, and so you want to be in a place that is hospitable to your lifestyle needs. And a sense of inclusion. Do students seem to feel included and happy in the environment where they're going to be spending all this time? And does that feel like a place where you would be comfortable? For more information, there are lots of great resources. Some of them are listed here. You should look for the fee assistance program that's listed here, and also these resources, including AAMC, MD-PhD, which has a lot of great tips and facts on MD-PhD education. NIH.gov/training has a lot of great resources. And then role models. Talk to different people like directors and mentors of the summer program and post-bac, professors, lab heads, department chairs, MD-PhD students, current students. When you go on the interview trail, really ask them about what their experience is like. Graduate students, postdocs, take advantage of career advising offices. Think about MD-PhD and PhD program directors. And finally, on Twitter and social media are really great resources. There are a lot of students and physician scientists and trainees who are really committed to helping support this important pipeline. I'm happy also for you to follow me and ping me on Twitter, Talia Swartz, and wishing you lots of luck on this really important journey. It is very hard, and we recognize that, and we're really excited about meeting you on the interview trail. Wishing you lots of luck.